Oh man, you know what's weird about motovlogging? It's all the heavy breathing. Who the f wants to listen to all that? Hey guys, welcome to another episode of CPUspeed Motorcycles. Today we are on the 2018 Yamaha MT-10 and I am in Ojai, California and approaching, well, I guess I'm officially on Highway 33, and if you're new to my channel, you know I've got 6,000 videos of this same road. No. But today we're going to talk a little bit about the MT-10. It's more of a, now that I've become more acclimated to it, more confidence, I'm riding a lot faster. It's almost got 3,000 miles on it. Just wanted to give you some more impressions of the bike. I think that my first impressions review was actually pretty good, but I wasn't riding very fast, the bike wasn't broken in, and I certainly wasn't acclimated to the bike, so that is not the case anymore. Wow. I haven't ridden in a while. The weather's been pretty I have been inundated with illness and sinus infections and people sick at work, which really pisses me off. And it's a weird place to park. And I haven't been on the bike in a while, so. But this is technically our first hot day of the summer. So it's nice to, I'm counting my blessings. I'm happy to be feeling good and feeling fit today so I can take advantage of this. The interesting thing is, yes, this is the first weekend of good weather, right? The first hot day. Tomorrow is heat wave, you know. We can't, we can't slowly, gradually work into it with just instant heat wave. The next day, boom! So that's up. See, this is a big erosion. See the big net up there? You see the boulders coming down. So it's not just an issue of erosion and this whole thing falling apart. These boulders come down. They actually put, big craters in the pavement. It's a mess. It's not very fun. So let's get beyond this wonker. Wonkety wonk wonk. Wonk wonk. Oh, I don't mean to tailgate you. I'm sorry. I don't mean to do it. So we'll just do this. You're watching this video to hear me yap about the bike. So let's talk about some of the things about the bike that I've discovered. Not a lot of stuff. This is not going to be any new stuff to you. Pretty much not any news to you. Oh yeah, I'm in Mode 2. Okay, I'll start with Mode 2. Yeah, just getting over riding this bike in cold weather. And cold weather means cold surfaces. It means not very high temperatures for your tires. So it's not the greatest environment for going fast or sport bikes or anything like that. The other thing is the throttle. can be a little bit notchy in mode 1. So, and when I first got the bike, I was always in mode 1. And when the winter hit, I was going, I really don't want to be sliding around that much. So I put it in mode 2. And I have to say, in this kind of riding, when you're canyon carving and trying to go fast, smooth is better. Smooth is better. And that's my other tip, is that there's no shame in riding in mode 2, especially in this kind of stuff. Mode fun's a lot of fun, but I kind of look at it like this. Do you want to pass somebody? That's mode 2. If you want to pass somebody and do a wheelie while you're doing it, use mode 1. But I will, as it heats up, I don't know why I'm in mode 2 today. That's an oversight, but it's because I haven't been on the bike for very long. But we are in wonderful. Ooh, what license plate is that? Is that Oregon? Of course, we have Grammy and Granddad ruining the video. That's okay. We have an MT-10. Oh, dead squirrel. That was a terrible pass. That was just awful. I'm just doing that kind of stuff so people will comment on my videos. And then the second set of tunnels on 33. And then water. So I always like to check the water. Kind of. Ooh, not very much. There's some right there. So I was talking about mode 2. So no shame in using mode 2. I'm actually enjoying it. So, especially in stuff out here, one little jerk of the throttle and you're going off a cliff. So, the other thing I want to talk about is the brakes. People have commented about the brakes, and I think that they are a little bit lacking in the brakes. They're not the greatest thing when you really start, going pace and really flying on this bike, and you keep that momentum up, the brakes are going to get a little funky. So they're not the best in the world, but it's not at the end of the world. Most of the time I'm not riding that fast anyway, so on the street they're fine, like I said in my initial review. But I do understand why some people may have said that they don't like the brakes. So, what do you do about that? Well, there's a lot of things you could do about that, but one of the things that I would do is use centered pads. Excuse me. And the other thing is, I've heard this from people with R1s and stuff, is bleeding the brakes also helps. So, I'm sure there are service intervals where bleeding the brakes are required, but if you got the time, and you want to do it more often, that would also help the brake performance. So that's enough about brakes. I'm just going to switch the center. I doubt if I'm going to bleed them constantly. So what else did I want to talk about? So the last thing I wanted to talk about is exhaust, race exhaust, and an ECU remap. Initially when I got this bike, that's all I was thinking about. That's the only thing I could think about. Getting engine remapping and getting exhaust on this thing. And Oh, I just wanted to warn you guys that we are going to come to a stoplight up here, so there will be an interruption on our there's a huge erosion thing up here, which is really depressing because I don't want this road to go away. But yeah, so the first thing I was going to do is get exhaust. And like the brakes, I discovered something else. And I already knew this going in. And I want to preface this by saying that if they sold I'm not going to swear, if Yamaha sold the SP model in America, I would have bought that over this. Why? Because this has street suspension. It's not race suspension.
Raise your can of beer on high and seal your fate forever. Our best years have passed us by, the golden age of leather.
Oh shit, am I still recording? So we interrupt the show for erosion talk. So what they do on these big landslide hills is under the road they put these massive drain tubes. So when the water comes down this hill, it goes in the tubes and flows out. See over here? But this last landslide, the dirt just came in and filled up all the holes, and then on the other side it had a landslide. So on both sides, it got hit by both sides. I don't think I'm going to look back at it over on the other side. And that's your Highway 33 erosion story for today. So let's see if we can see it back on this way over here. Now, wow, there it is. I don't know if you can see that, but so let's talk about the suspension. So this is a street suspension. I knew that going in. And most of the street suspension or any kind of bike that you get from the showroom floor is going to be set up or built for a certain weight of rider. And this suspension is made for somebody who's, I'm going to say 160 pounds. I was going to say 150, but I'll say 160 just to be nice. And the issue is that even though this is fully adjustable suspension, you can only adjust it so much to the point where it can't match the weight. So I'm 200 pounds, and I admit that I'm pretty heavy compared to other people. See, I like this bulldozers blocking me from going off a cliff. And so what that means is there's basically upgrading to suspension, and there's various levels and degrees you can do that. The first thing I could do is revalve the rear shock. The other thing I can do is replace the springs and the oil and the forks. Or I can just put a whole new suspension in it, a race suspension that is more attuned to my weight. And then once you have that in, you can adjust it and fine tune it. So I'm trying to think of an analogy for it, but I can't. It's just that there is a certain degree of adjustability where it is now, and it's nowhere near my weight. So I have to swap out the... and what does that mean? That means that this bike, as it is now, stock, is too fast for the suspension for my weight. I am drifting wide in turns. And I know it's a suspension issue. So there is no point at this time to make the bike go faster. There's no reason to put an exhaust on it and remap the ECU, which is not going to be a huge bump in power, but it is going to be a bump in power. So instead of putting $2,000 into that, it makes a lot more sense to put $2,000 into the suspension. So that's where I'm at. So kudos to all the guys that have gone and gotten their suspension set up properly for them. But I do feel that a lot of guys go out and they soup up their bikes, they do everything to these bikes that they can, and they never touch the suspension because their skill level isn't very good. So bikes are meant to be doing this, not drag racing. So, and there we have it. So let's go up to a more picturesque place. And those are my thoughts. Brakes, switch to centered pads. You know, you can do with steel braided lines, that would help. But if you're definitely going to track this bike, you're going to want to upgrade the brakes. Mode 2. Nothing to be ashamed of in riding a Mode 2. It's smooth. So smooth is fast. So don't be afraid to try it out. You might like it. And then as far as the suspension goes, Yamaha, just sell the SP, You know, the SP in that suspension, may be for a lighter person anyway. So, I mean, I just really don't want to have to f*** around with it. But the fortunate thing about living in Southern California is I've got a race suspension shop in Oxnard, and then I've got a speed shop in Camarillo, and somebody who can set all this stuff up for me, because I don't even have a f***ing garage, let alone all the tools that I need to do it. Well, guys, thanks for coming along. Oh, I forgot to mention, I got this windscreen from National Cycle. All right, guys, see ya in the next one. Ride safe.